In this lesson, we'll learn how to detail multiple moving components. After completing this lesson, you'll be able to create a multiple joint motion study. Next, we want to take a look at applying a motion study to multiple joints. We're going to go into Assemble, and we're going to create a new motion study. First, we're going to bring in the Revolute 4, and then we also want to bring in Revolute 3. Now notice when we do this, we have to select both, and then we get both of these showing up inside of our browser for our motion study. We can see the current position, the degrees of freedom, which is the icon for the type of joint that we have. If we had a joint that had a linear value such as a slider, we would see a different degrees of freedom icon here. We can also turn these on and off as well. So we could have the entire list of joints, and we can simply determine which ones we want to show or hide. So again, we can click on them on the screen, or we can pick them directly from the browser by clicking on them twice. And each joint that we add to a motion study will have a different color, so we can take a look at it. We can also turn it off or show it. So the green one is the tilt, in this case the tilt revolute, and you can see that its current position is 20 degrees. So what I want to do is I want to start by adding some points. At step 19 or 20, I want to rotate the camera 30 degrees in the positive direction. Now at this point, I'm going to change the tilt of the camera down to -45. And then I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to take this to -30 degrees. And then I'm going to tilt the camera up to the 0 degree position. I'm going to set this on a loop and go ahead and play through it. I'm going to reduce the speed, and you can see this shows the range and motion of the camera. So again, this is a great way for us to expand on the assembly motion that we've already created by taking both of those joints, taking their limits, and figuring out how we can move them through some of the ranges of values. Once we say OK, we now have a new motion study that's saved inside of this motion study folder in the browser. We're going to call this one Pan and Tilt. So again, at any point in time, we can edit that, and we can go in and we can play it back, or we can make changes and adjust the motion. So for instance, if we want to drag this point, add an additional point in here, make it go to 10 degrees just before it goes to 0 degrees, or we can change the step here and make that at 100, and we can play through it. Everything looks good. We'll say OK, and that's saved inside of that motion study called Pan and Tilt. Also note at this point in time that we can capture the position or we can revert back, because the last position of all the components in the motion study is the last position that these components will come back into the model workspace in the assembly. So capturing the position will lock them into that location, or we can simply revert and take it back to whatever the normal state's going to be. So let's go ahead and save the file so we can move on to the next step.